Well, what to do in emergency situations involving your automobile. Today we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Good afternoon, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to this special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Tony Joe's in the studio with me as he is every Friday to take your Car Corner questions. That number to call is 1-877-913-5357, 1-877-913-5357. You can also go to the website at www.prudentmoney.com. Send a question to the Ask Bob section, and I will get you taken care of. That's all at prudentmoney.com. 1-877-913-5357. Well, Tony Joe, you know, I think that I like our original setup here better than I liked what we tried to do last week.
Right, I do too.
So last week, Tony Joe couldn't come in, which is rare. Either he's in or he's out, but he could do the radio show, he just couldn't come in. So I said, well, just call into the radio station and we'll do it that way. We'll do it through the phone system. And what you got to know about Tony Joe and I, we're really blessed to have very good chemistry. And what we found out is that that chemistry is kind of gone when we're not together.
Well,
that was almost awkward.
Not only that, but you have to realize that I don't like calling in like that, Bob, because it's like 107 in my office. I'm sitting there for 30 minutes doing the program. Was difficult. I like doing it here in the studio, the Palacios R.P. Brooks Studios, where the temperature is always kept at a mild 68 degrees, and it's comfortable. You can almost see your breath in here.
Okay, so the other day you sent me a picture. You have a temperature gun, and you aimed it at the concrete. How hot was it?
135, but I've seen it hotter than that. It was just told my son, go out there and take a picture of the temperature. And 135, to me, I think, we're going to try it sometime. I think you can fry an egg at 135. We're going to take an egg and try it sometime. But, you know, it's very, very hot this summer. And, of course, you know, it's tough on your car. And when we start talking about maintenance in the fall, try to remember that this is the time where your car is being stressed to the highest point ever. The heat and in the traffic, and you know, think about from time to time. Just think about what your car is going through. One thing you might remember, if you don't know, is that when you're traveling and you get stop and go traffic, and you got the air conditioner on and the radio and the, you know, you're in a 20 or 30-minute traffic jam, it gets pretty hot under that hood. So the battery and a lot of the components and, you know, things get really stressed out at this point, the cooling system especially. That's why maintenance is so important. If you can afford to do it, do it. I mean, I know some things have to come second on the list, but the reason you do maintenance on a car is for times like these.
1-877-913-5357. Let's talk to Thomas from Grandview. Thomas, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I just had a question. I've got a 2014 Ford C-Max. It's very unusual. Not so many cars or not so many people know about a C-Max. It's a hybrid, and I was just we had to change out plugs and coils, and the air filter is like so hard to get to change. And somebody suggested putting a fresh air intake or a cold air intake. I don't know what you'd call it, but and they said it would save you some, gas mileage as well. I'm getting about 40 right now with the AC on, but would a fresh air intake be a wise idea? or would it save gas? Would it, you know?
Oh, Thomas, let me just address that in this manner. It is very difficult to alter anything anymore that's not factory design. And the reason for that, real quick, is that if you add an fresh air intake to this automobile, you're going to restrict the airflow. I'm concerned about one thing. The air filter is difficult to get to, I know, but is the air filter good? I mean, are you going to eliminate the air filter and then run a fresh air in front of that, or are you going to leave the original air filter in there?
We would eliminate the air filter that's in there and put the fresh air intake with one of those round filters, which supposedly from one guy's viewpoint would give it even more air flow than it had before.
Yes, it would give it more airflow than it had before, but the reason I would advise against it is because if you alter, you understand that the box, so to speak, that the air filter is sitting in, the original air filter, even though it's difficult to change, that box is designed specifically for airflow to that, I'm guessing, is a 2.3. Is that, what size motor is
2.0?
2.0, okay. So, you see, Thomas, the thing you got to understand is the airflow to an engine is designed specifically for the combustion chambers in that engine. The intake manifold and the combustion chambers are very, very specific to a certain volume of airflow under all conditions, as in idling or full acceleration. Excuse me. So if you were to alter that in any way, you're going to find out that the dynamics of airflow will be changed, and you will not probably get the performance or the mileage that you're expecting, because I've seen a lot of these air filters that will give you more airflow, but in some cases more airflow without the additional fuel to go with it is going to result in poorer economy and lower performance. So it's hard to explain, but the dynamics of the airflow, without getting into a bunch of technical stuff, is designed under all conditions for your vehicle, whatever you're running, and it would alter that, and then you would experience some disappointment. I'm advising against it.
I definitely going to take that advice. And one last thing, the K&N type filters,
right?
Are those going to save you much in gas mileage? I've heard that they supposedly do, but
is that the one you have to put the oil on?
Yeah, and then you can clean it and put it back in. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what I've discovered with those. I don't like those either, simply because that oil, do you know what a mass airflow sensor is?
Yeah, a little bit. I do a little bit, yeah.
Well, you don't want to coat that thing with oil. I mean, when you think about it, the air filter, when you clean it and then you oil it and you put it back in, you're going to have airflow going through that box and through the induction tube to the engine, and it's going to pass by the mass airflow sensor, and it's eventually going to build up with oil or debris, and really that's not good for your car either. I know it's disappointing to hear me turn down all your good ideas, but no, the answer is no. You don't want to use one of those.
Right. And then you hear about the computer chips you can stick in your car, and they're supposed to boost your mileage a lot.
Yep. They will do that, and they do work. However, you may not pass inspection. You've got to consider, are you in a county that is an attainment county, Dallas, Tarrant?
No, I'm in Johnson County, kind of more of a country.
Okay. So I don't know out there whether they have what inspection procedure they use out there, but if it doesn't bother your inspection and it passes inspection okay, Last time you got your car inspected, how much does it cost out there?
25.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be bar 94. I mean, that's got to be the same ones we use here. I don't think you could try it. You could always remove it, but I don't think it'll pass inspection if you put one of those chips in there. Being in
Now,
Johnson County, I don't know, but I don't think it'll pass.
Do those chips make would it be like a 15 or 20% difference, or
Well,
not that much?
That I don't know. I know they're
Oh, okay.
performance chips, and I know they're designed to enhance performance, but with more performance, you're going to put out more pollution. So oftentimes we encounter problems getting it to pass inspection that way.
Oh, okay,
That's why I would maybe look into that a little bit, or call the company and ask them if it's going to alter the emissions on the tailpipe.
Yeah. Well, you've answered the questions pretty well. I appreciate that. Great advice.
All right, Thomas.
So,
thank you for calling in, and Lord bless you.
Lord bless you. Have a blessed weekend.
This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Today, Friday, it's the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. The number to call is 1-877-913-5357, 1-877-913-5357. If you've got a question for me, you can always go to the website at www.prudentmoney.com and send it into the Ask Bob section, and I will get you taken care of. That's off the website, www.prudentmoney.com. 1-877-913-5357. Well, this is Bob Brooks. We're up against a break. Stick around. I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to this special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. 1-877-913-5357. Tony Joe's here, and he's here to answer your questions. So give us a call while we have a line open. 1-877-913-5357. Hang on just a second. Okay, there we go. Let's talk to Judy from Weatherford. Judy, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Well, first I need to say, Bob, this is Frugal Judy from Weatherford, and I need to just ask you
how you doing, Judy?
to keep on keeping on because, I paid off that $30,000 debt with your advice, and, being a widow stinks, and you were always very encouraging to me. And
thank you, Judy.
I got a whole nother question for another show about that, but my car question, and I need to thank Tony Joe because he helped me with that Ford spark plug fiasco a few years ago, and I got my $33. But I couldn't have done it without him. What I'm asking is, I'm getting ready to go on a 1,200-mile trip to see my first grandchild, and through your advice and your son's advice, I found a local guy that, to make sure my truck, Ford F-150, is roadworthy, and I've done that. I ended up buying a set of tires. But these huge high temperatures we're dealing with, do I need to wait till it gets a little bit cooler? Or I don't use my AC. I love the windows open. I'm going from here to Memphis to Nashville to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Is there something besides all that you told me in the past to do that I need to do different?
Wait, what year is your truck?
2004.
2004 F-150. I'm just trying to think real quick. Is it, you have a 5.4 V8? Do you
I
know?
think so. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. You really don't have to wait until it cools off. Think about this for a minute, Judy.
Okay.
Even though the temperature may be hot to human beings, in the car world, the car engine has to run at around 210 to 220 degrees. So
Okay.
what little bit of difference we're having here on the surface of the earth isn't really affecting the car's operating temperature much.
Okay.
I would say go whenever you want to, because seeing your little granddaughter or grandson is more important than worrying about that. It's really not going to affect anything. The only
Okay.
thing I will tell you is that, or the one thing I want to tell you is that when you're out on the open road, and I know where you're going, and I almost know how you're going to get there,
Yeah.
you're cruising down I-40 and, at 70 miles an hour, and whether you have the air on or not doesn't matter. You just want to look at your gauges, make sure everything's,
Okay.
running good. Always look at your temperature gauge and your oil pressure and things like that. And
Okay.
it really isn't going to make any difference to the automobile. So, no, I would
Okay.
take the trip whenever you feel like going, and it's pretty stress-free on the automobile when you're on the
Okay.
highway at that speed.
Okay. Okay. Because I just because I've driven it straight through twice, and this is my third or fourth trip, and I go to Little Rock and stay over, and
Yeah.
I make it a 2-day trip. Well, I just
Yeah.
I really appreciate. I found some local car guys. I called and talked. I think your son's name is Nathan,
Yes.
and he, you weren't in the shop the day that I called, and he just told me what I needed to ask him about, making sure I was roadworthy, and it really helped me a bunch.
Good.
It helped
Very
me a
good.
bunch.
Well,
All right.
I'm
Well, thank you for your
listen.
help. I appreciate it.
One thing I got to tell you before you go. Listen to this.
Yes.
Your car will probably be fine, and
Okay.
it's you that's got to be careful. Keep it between the ditches. Make sure you
Yes.
don't get sleepy and all that, and make
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that you're safe.
I will. There's lots of singing going on, and I got you guys on the radio, so I appreciate you, and I listen. I listen whenever I can, and all I
Well.
can say is most people shouldn't wait till they're in their 70s to get their first grandchild, but I didn't have anything to do with that.
Well, congratulations, Grandma.
Congratulations, Judy. It's good to hear from you.
All right. Thank you.
Lord bless you.
This is Bob Brooks, 1-877-913-5357. Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of motivation for getting behind the wheel and making that drive. Go see your grandbaby.
Especially your first one.
That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
1-877-913-5357. So I got a question for you. This, as you were talking about how brutal of a summer it is, how it's turning into maybe one of the hotter summers could be. Is there anything that you should do after your car goes through this 2 or 3 month period? It would just be a good idea to change out because it's been so hot.
Actually, it's not really necessary to do anything different. like I was just explaining to Judy, when you really think about it, whether it's an average 95-degree day or whether it's 107, as far as the car is concerned, it doesn't make much difference. It really doesn't. However, it does stress things more, like the cooling system, the air conditioner, and these things, and the battery. I mean, these things are all exposed to underhood temperatures that are extremely warm, and that the point is, that's why you try to keep up with the maintenance. That's why you change the oil on time. That's why you change the coolant every couple of years. That's why you have the battery tested. These are all reasons right now is a good time to point out that in this kind of stressful environment for your automobile, this is why the maintenance, this is where the maintenance pays off. Okay, this is why you do the maintenance, to keep your car in good running order through these extremely hot summers and long with no rain, and this is what maintenance is all about. Just point that out while we're in the middle of it.
Yeah, I guess when you think about it, the 10 to 12 degree difference on average is not a big deal when you're talking about 200 plus degree temperature to begin with.
Right. To the car, it doesn't mean much, but it does put extra stress on the vehicle. And when you have that extra stress, like for instance, let's say you were the kind of person that never really looked at your belts and hoses because you don't have time or you're not knowledgeable about it and you didn't know you're supposed to. And then 10 years later, you've got the same hoses on the car that you had before, and you get into one of these long, hot summer, say you're caught on 635 in stop-and-go traffic, and, you know, you blow a hose, and now you got steam coming out from under the hood, and you got to pull over, and you're inconvenienced. It's got to be towed. I mean, these are the kind of things that maintenance prevents, and that's why we call it preventative maintenance.
So on the air conditioning system, how often, in reference to number of years, do you or intervals of years do you get that system checked out?
Every year you should have it checked out at the beginning of the, early spring. You turn it on, you check it out. It can be low on coolant due to leaks over the winter time with expansion and contraction. It can be, there's an air filter now in most cabins, well, in most dashboards behind the glove box. There is now an air filter to catch the indoor cabin pollution, such as dog hair and dirt and debris and things like that. So that's something we have to get used to now, because that will strain the air conditioner if it gets too dirty. So that's something you need to have tested. And then other than that, there's really not a lot of maintenance you have to do to it. But as long as you have it checked every year, you're going to probably be okay. A compressor could go out or a belt could break. A number of things can happen that you can't foresee. But for the most part, car air conditioning systems are not really high maintenance. If they work, they work. The condenser gets dirty in the front. Sometimes it needs to be cleaned out. But for the most part, they're pretty maintenance free. Every year you go in and you have your mechanic for some other service you're in for, a brake job or something, just have them look at the air conditioner and just kind of eyeball it and make sure everything's ready to go for the year.
I guess the bottom line is, if you have a weak spot in your car, any place in the engine, this kind of weather could expose
yes,
that.
It actually will stress the system to the point where any weak link in the chain is going to be exposed. Right. You're exactly right. That's why you have to kind of have the maintenance done to keep all those weak links in check.
Yeah, just to emphasize, it does make sense to get your car checked out and get a good look over before you do take a long trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that you should have done in the spring and in the fall. You want to get ready for the long hot summers and the possibly cold winters.
So the question is, Tony Joe, on average, how hot is it in your garage?
Temperature-wise,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Oh, yeah, you do.
But I will tell you this. Number one, a lot of shaded characters hang around there, so it's not as bad as you think. Number two, I'm too cool to worry about getting too hot. Number 3, let's see, what else can I come up with
I
here?
think we can stop while you're behind. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. If you have a question for Tony Joe, you can always call back next week. And if you want to email one, we'll take that as well, and we can read it next Friday when we get it as well. If you have a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.